Okay, good morning. Welcome to Mishna Yomi. Today we are learning Sheviis Perek Tet. Mishna is based in Gimel. We're going to be talking about one of the topics we've been talking about for a while now, or biur, right? When that specific fruit or vegetable is finished in the field where you live locally, we'll find out where the localities are based on, what makes up the locality. Then you have to get rid of your house, mavire, and the Rav says very clearly either you have to eat it or you have to make it hefker. There's an opinion that says you have to burn it, but I don't think the majority opinion is like that. Let's get into the Mishnah. Shalosh says the biur. There's three different parts of Eretz Yisrael that have relevance to the lachas of biur. Yehuda, Ever Yarden, and Galil. Yehuda is in the south, we know. Ever Yarden is the west bank. Yes, you'd say about Galil. The Galil is the Galil in the upper part of Eretz Yisrael. Shalosh artos l'chalachas v'achas. Each of these three is broken down into three separate parts. We'll see why it has significance in a second. Galil Elyon v'Galil Tachlam Emek. The Galil is made of three parts: the Galil Elyon, the upper Galilee, the lower Galilee, the Emek, and the valley. The valley, we'll see what that is. Mikfar Chananya Lamalan, from Kfar Chananya, the village of Chananya, and up. Kol She'enim Magad al Sikmin. That's basically a place where sycamore trees, the Israeli sycamore trees, don't grow. That's called Galil Elyon. Mikfar Chananya Lamatan, from Kfar Chananya, and below that, Kol She'enim Magad al Sikmin. As long as they're growing sycamore trees, that's the lower Galilee. Tchum Tveria Emek, and below that is the edge of Tveria, basically the city of Tveria. The bottom of the city of Tveria rounds out the end of the Galil. Of Yehuda, the three parts in Yehuda: Har Vashvela Emek, the mountain, which is basically the Judean hills; Vashvela, the lowlands, which is basically Beersheba and the midbar over the lowlands. It's a flat land. Emek, and there are valleys down low. Shvelas Lud, Kishvelas Hadarim. Now the three parts, the Eira Yarden, the west bank. Shvelas Lud, the lowland of Lud, Kishvelas Hadarim, is like the lowland beneath that, to the south of it. Har Shalak Har HaMelech, and the mountain of Lud is like the Har HaMelech, the king's hill. Beis Choron v'Arayam Medina Achas, and also from Beis Choron until the Yam HaMelech is all considered Medina Achas. Those three parts make up the Yard in the West Bank. V'lama, so now we're going to see what's the significance of these three. V'lama Amru Shlosh Haaretz, why do they divide each of the three lands into another three lands? Because to tell you that in the Galil, for example, so therefore, even if that fruit or that vegetable does not exist anymore in the Galil Elyon, but it exists in the Galil Tachton, or it doesn't exist in the Galil Elyon Tachton, but it exists in Tveria, so then you can still keep on eating because it existed at one of those three lands, so it's all considered part of the Galil. Shimon Omer Lo Amru, however, if it's gone in the entire Galil, so then you can't eat in the Galil anymore, even though you can eat in Yehuda. Even though it still exists in Yehuda, you can't eat in the Galil anymore because that is Shalosh Haaretzos of biur. You go by the entire region. If that region doesn't have, you have to do biur, even though it has in Yehuda and still in the field. Or Shimon Omer Lo Amru Shalosh Haaretzos Elab Yehuda. We only said Shalosh Haaretzos Elab Yehuda. We only have this kula that you could rely on the last part of a region by Yehuda. Other regions, you divide it individually into three parts, and if that small region, one of those 9 parts, doesn't have it, you have to get rid of it. We don't pass another Shimon. Now these lands, Galil, Ever Yard, and Yehuda and Galil, does not include all of Israel. It specifically doesn't include the west coast of Israel, which is the central district of Israel, which is Haifa and Tel Aviv and Bnei Brak and those places. How are they reckoned? Sharka Har HaMelech, they go like the mountain of the king. Har HaMelech, it's not really clear what Har HaMelech is, the king's mountain. I would say that's Har Tzofim, where I think David HaMelech had his house. I'm not really sure. His palace. All the lands, even though we said normally you go by the region, when it comes to olives and it comes to dates, so as long as it exists anywhere in Eretz Yisrael, you can keep on eating in your house. You don't have to mavire. Only after they're completely extinct in the field of all of Eretz Yisrael, then you have to get rid of your zaysim and tamarim. That will be the end of today's shir. See you in Mishnah.